supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was assassinated by the joint Israel and US operations in Iran while at his home having a meeting with senior Iranian leadership. And what happened was that he was lured into that meeting. He was actually put on the surveillance for more than 2 months by the CIA monitoring his movement. So during the last meeting, negotiation meeting that took place in Switzerland on Thursday, 26th of February, nearly a breakthrough was arrived at on that meeting. And that is why the Iranian delegation notified the supreme leader that they are getting a breakthrough in their nuclear negotiation with the US. And therefore, they need to take a decision and go back to the meeting. So the Iranian leader convened a meeting of the senior leadership at his home, and they lowered their guard, thinking that a pathway forward for peaceful resolution to their issues with the US is on site. And voila, you now have the strike in that very place where they convened the meeting to discuss the way forward on that negotiation. And that is why or how he was killed. And of course, there was intense lobby behind the scene to make sure that this peaceful negotiation was not arrived at. Most prominently and publicly from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and privately, or albeit hypocritically, by the leadership of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. Because according to Washington Post, Mohammed bin Salman was privately calling for US, especially Donald Trump, to strike into Iran while publicly acknowledging his solidarity with the Iranians. And that's how it was lobbied. The lobby was so much intense that even though Iran does not directly threaten Americans' national interests at that moment, but the regional allies insisted that that strike must take place, and that is why the US went in and assassinated Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now, the implication of this strike is intense. Many people are suspecting that this will bring the end to the war. I doubt very much. I think this war is going to further escalate. You can see that Iran has already nominated the next supreme leader, Ali Reza Arafi, who is going to continue to act temporarily before nominating of the substantive supreme leader. And the killing of Ali Khamenei will serve as a very serious trigger for which the Iranians are going to channel the emotional rage to drag so much attack against the US interests in the Middle East. But that attack against US interests in the Middle East is very important for the United States in the medium term and very important for Israel in the long term. Why? Because, you know, in the first term of the presidency of the United States, of course, I mean the beginning of his second term at the presidency, he went to the Gulf states, all of them promising so much money, $600 billion, $1 trillion of deals, especially in supply of arms and ammunition for the protection of the Gulf states. This war is going to bring about an opportunity for them to bring out this money. Because Qataris, the Saudis, the UAE, the Bahraini, and the Kuwaiti will need to be defended. And for them to be defended, they must continue to buy more weapons from the US. And the US will definitely want Iran to continue to strike into the Middle East. And that is why they expose the alleged hypocrisy of Saudi Arabia by insisting that this attack should take place so that they can inflame anger between the two Sunni Shia countries in the Middle East so that they can jointly attack and destroy one another. The two countries have developed rapidly, they expanded significantly, and the Saudi Vision 2030 is near show. It's almost getting to success. So you can't when the greater Israel is in the flow, there is no way another country within the Middle East can compete with it. And that is why when the two countries self-destruct, it serves the long-term strategic interests of the greater Israel and the short-term interests or the medium-term interests of the United States, because they are going to make a lot of money. And more importantly, Iranian program, if you look at their structure of the war, the first program is to see that they pushed all the United States assets away from the Middle East. So they will attack all the military bases in the Middle East so that they can wipe the United States presence in the Middle East. And with that, they are systematically dismantling the infrastructure the United States put in the Middle East post Cold War. And that is going to be very good in the long-term interest of Israel. The second approach, again, is to go into the Strait of Hormuz and lock it down. It's likely that Iran is going to take over Bahrain and to some degree even Kuwait in order to enforce the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. And they may likely even sink one of the super carriers, especially the USS Gerald Ford, that will now bring America deeply into the war. And all this is going to serve the long-term interest of Israel. Because if America goes into the war much more deeply, America is not going to come out successfully. America is likely going to lose a superpower status in this particular war with Iran, because it's a war of attrition, it's an asymmetric warfare, and the Iranians have more than 600 to 800,000 ready troops and different cells across the world. So a lot of issues is going to take place, and the more America weakens, the better for Israel. The more American military bases are outside the, of course, Middle East, the better for Israel. The weaker the Arab nations, the better for Israel. And that is going to bring about Pax Judaea much more easily for Israel. And to be very honest with you, Trump don't care. Trump will actually want this to happen because he has less than 3 years to finish his second term as the president. And his future is much more protected in the board of peace. So he will want to do whatever he can to make sure that Israel continue to take the leadership of the Western Hemisphere so that he can continue to serve in the board of peace in peace. After all, he has already given himself lifetime opportunity to serve on the board of peace, something he cannot get in the United States. So that is exactly the game we are seeing. But what is going to happen to Africa? So when a new global order is coming up, chaos is the perfect opportunity for re-engineering a new system. And that is why chaotic moments await Africa, especially when African leaders, when Africans have leaders that only think in the short term, how to steal money, how to build houses, how to buy big cars, how to travel abroad to enjoy themselves. When this is the only thing driving African leadership, then they should expect chaos. And these leaders are not the kind of leaders that the new global order is going to negotiate with, because they don't understand. They are just not strategic. They are not understanding the new global system, and therefore, this particular emerging system is likely going to consume them. Again, why the chaos is because if you look at Africa, there are so many cells of Hezbollah in many places in Africa, especially even in our country, Nigeria. Of course, Israel will not let that. The Mossad are going to go against those ones. And also, they are also going to go against Israeli and American interests. So most of the terrorist attack we will be witnessing is a kind of a hybrid warfare between the pro and anti, but the two sides. So it's going to be a very serious hybrid proxy conflict that is going to be as terrorist operations. Meanwhile, it's actually serving the larger interests of the global community. And that is why it is very important for all citizens of Africa, especially Nigerians, to pay closer attention to what is happening globally, because that terror that is attacking in that village, in your community, actually is directly working in the interest of this global system. So until we have leaders in Africa that will be able to discuss and navigate through these things carefully, responsibly, with wisdom and responsibility, and understanding the new architect that is emerging, then we will likely continue to experience a very chaotic situation that is likely going to be a very serious problem for the future. I know that some of the things I said may sound brutal to some people, but I'm an analyst. I'm a geopolitical analyst. I just say the truth as it is. So bear with me when I tell you the truth. It may not be nice to hear, but this is exactly what is likely going to happen. It's just a prediction. It's not an assurance, but this is just my prediction. And I thank you very much.
He's not a clean man because he's a Fulani man. Do you know that all the Fulanis, as I told you earlier, they are all terrorists. These are the people that migrated from Futajelo. They are Fulani people. Fulani people in Africa are warlike people. They are in history addressed as nomad, wanderers. They wander from place to place, bearing arms, AK-47, spears, sword. I don't know what they say, javelin. I'm telling you, machete, bow and arrow, guns. Why should you make Nuhu Ribadu national security advisor? Sometimes I look at Igbo, I say, China the same God create Igbo man and other tribes in Nigeria. Nuhu Ribadu being a Fulani man is a threat to Nigerian security now. Why should somebody wake up and say Nuhu Ribadu national security advisor? You have seen it. Giving Fulani Allah AK-47 amounted the fact that he's among the sponsors and the financiers of terrorists in Nigeria. There's no two ways I should interpret this to my viewers.
Even the former Minister of Defense.
Yes, Minister of Defense, Metawale and Ahmed Badaru. He was among the financiers of the Fulani herdsmen as well Boko Haram. Why? They are from Fulani extraction. All these are Fulani tribesmen.
It was alleged that US asked them to resign, you know.
Failure to resign, United States will come here and fish him out. Failure to tell Ribadu to resign over this giving AK-47 to herdsmen apprehended in Kwara State. Nuhu Ribadu should resign. We want to rid off this administration from anybody that comes from Fulani extraction. They are all terrorists. We have been saying this on and on and on. As long as Nigerian tribes, ethnicities, allow Fulani to live among them, insecurity will never finish here. Nigeria will still be facing this plight of bloody clutches on and on. Everywhere in the north, southwest, southeast, and even in the mid-belt.
But do you not think that, just like you said, if Donald Trump comes, a lot of people say the moment the US government finally, you know, start acting, that might be the end of Nigeria. Do you think that? Do you agree with that notion?
No, it's a lie. It's a lie. If US starts acting, I think that might be the end of Fulani in Nigeria.
Okay, the Fulani.
The Arab Mugareb. I mean, the part of Arab that are too bloody. I mean, the desert Moors, the desert barbarians, all those ones that migrated from southern Algeria, southern Libya, northern Sudan, northern Niger, and exude into Nigeria as our, let me say, guests. The way they holding on the Hausa original owners of North, there will be no peace in Nigeria. The best thing is to tell these people from Fulani extraction, included in this government, to resign. Without their resignation, Tinubu's administration will know no peace. These people have actually taken oath that no more shall they give this administration peace. Why? Because the man in charge of this present administration is from southern Nigeria, from Yoruba extraction. I don't know what you understand. So what we are saying now is that America is coming and we need America operation. If America begin to operate, Nigeria will stand gidigam. Don't mind people that are saying that there will be no Nigeria again. These are statements credited to Fulani caliphates in Sokoto, Sokoto caliphates, Kanu Emirates. I don't know what to understand. These are the people that are coming with this dangerous propaganda. They don't want America to come and take care of this place. What are you saying? America actually descended on Saudi Arabia aftermath of Iraqi annexation of Kuwait in 1990. Are you listening to me? And today, after descending on Saudi Arabia, they sit Gidibam. Today, Saudi is growing economically, militarily, because America is there. America did not do anything to Saudi Arabia. If America come here on military operation, Nigeria will stay Gidibam. There will be security here. The economy will grow as well. Nigeria will witness nothing but peace, security, mild and peaceful one. Nothing will happen to us here. The people that are agitating for America, you know, abandoning military operation that they actually pledged to Nigerians, those are the Sokoto caliphates. Those are sponsored rumors by Fulani Janjaweeds. Fulani Janjaweeds, they don't want Americans to come. They are the obstacles American military service or operation or strike in the northern region, Al-Qaeda stricken regions, ISWAP, stronghold. They are the one that are selling those kind of, you know, agenda and propaganda. What we needed right now is that Trump military operation should take effect very, very fast. We need it so fast.